Hey there, Mr. Redder here. Welcome back to another episode of Reddit Podcast Stories. Our first story we'll be reading today. My sister demands I pay for her vacation, but she won't agree to babysit. After that, am I the jerk for refusing to pay for my gender reveal cupcakes? And after that, my wife keeps pressuring me to copy stuff she sees on TikTok. Now for every thumbs up this video gets, one Karen has to pay for her own vacation. You never take me anywhere, Reddit boy, besides the brink of insanity. So please smash that like button and subscribe and turn on notifications for new stories from Reddit every single day. My sister demands I pay for her vacation, but she won't agree to babysit. My 32 male family is planning a vacation for this summer. Both my parents, my older brother, and my sister-in-law, my younger sister, Camila, who's 22, and my husband, my two kids, who are 10 and 8, and I are all planning to go. We're all planning to stay in a resort for 2 weeks. This will obviously be a bit expensive, at least $2,000 per person, and that is an enormous amount of money in my currency. Camila is in her last semester of university and will start a full-time job in August. Right now, she's not working and lives with my parents, not passing judgment on her for being unemployed because my brother and I went through the same at her age. Camila called me last week to ask if we could pay for her ticket and accommodation. My parents would pay for food and activities. My husband and I can comfortably afford our own family, but adding Camila would put financial pressure on us. I told her that I would discuss it with my husband and then I would call her. So my husband and I agreed that we would be willing to pay for her if she would babysit our kids on certain occasions. Of course, not every day and without notice, but at least twice a week for 2 hours for 2 months. She would basically be the replacement for our current babysitter. Anyway, I texted her basically saying what I just wrote, and she replied, "Absolutely not." So I called her to ask why she was so against this arrangement, which I think benefits both of us. She gets to go on vacation, and we have a babysitter we trust and don't spend more than our monthly budget. Camila said that we were manipulating her into doing unpaid labor for us and forcing her to say yes because neither our brother or parents could afford to pay for her. She also said that she's way too busy with her last semester of uni and finals. I told her that she could do all of her school stuff in our house. My kids are very well behaved and need very little supervision, but she still said that she wouldn't do it. So I then told her I was very sorry, but if she didn't accept, then we couldn't pay for her to go on vacation. So now she's incredibly mad at me. But now my mom is also angry with me because she wants to have a family vacation and she knows my husband and I do have the money to pay for Camila and family helps family, which I agree with. But I believe that help must be reciprocal, and right now, Camila is not reciprocating that help. My brother and dad just want to settle this down. They are not taking sides. Not the jerk. Unpaid labor? Did she miss the part where her pay was a $2,000 holiday? This is a win-win for both of you. In fact, she comes out slightly more on top from the whole deal. So, family helps family only when it comes to paying for expensive vacations, but not for childcare? Gotcha. Your sister is living on another planet. Not the jerk. Not the jerk at all. Your sister is a piece of work and spurning an incredibly generous offer. Her labor is far from unpaid. Looking at your arrangement, you're asking for approximately 35 hours of labor in return for a $2,000 trip. That's close to $60 an hour. That would be an amazing offer for a 22-year-old in the US. And I'm guessing from the my currency answer that you live in a lower cost of living country than the US, where the offer is even more generous. You're not the jerk at all. Your sister sucks. You're the jerk, especially your family. It's rude that nobody was thinking about her financial situation when planning this vacation. You and the family expected this problem to solve itself by some magical means, and now you act surprised. She's not entitled to your money, and it's also putting you in an uncomfortable place. Because of this, I think the offer's reasonable, but it's forced, leaving her with little choice, and I can see why she's annoyed. Am I the jerk for refusing to pay for my gender reveal cupcakes? I, female 22, found out last week my baby's gender, and it's a girl. My family are excited, and I decided to do a small gender reveal over the Easter weekend. I had this planned for Saturday, so a few days before, I asked a small local business if she could please make 12 cupcakes with pink and blue icing on top and pink icing in the middle. She agreed and said they would be ready to collect Friday evening. The plan was to pick up the cupcakes on Friday, invite friends and family over Saturday, and give some guests a cupcake which would reveal the gender. I only invited a few guests as my apartment is fairly small, and I didn't want to do a large gender reveal anyway, just something cute and fun. Plus, everyone loves cupcakes. So Friday evening came. The small business owner, Claire, gave me her address to collect the cakes from her, said that they would cost 25 pounds and they're ready to collect whenever. I drove to her apartment and knocked on the door. She greeted me there with a box of cupcakes and they looked amazing. They were exactly how I had imagined them and I thanked her for them. She gave me the box, but just as she did, her large pet dog came running up to me, barking and jumped at me, knocking the box of cupcakes all over the floor. Claire apologized and shut the dog inside. He was still barking and jumping at the door. She said it's because he gets excited when people come and visit, but he wouldn't have hurt me as he's friendly. At this point, I didn't know the damage to the cupcakes as the box landed upside down. I picked it up and the cakes were ruined. The icing had smashed all over the box and some cakes had spilled out onto the ground. Claire looked horrified as I understand she spent a few hours making them for me. She apologized and said she could remake them for free, but they wouldn't be ready until Sunday. I said, unfortunately, I'm expecting my guests tomorrow and Sunday's no good, as I already had other plans. I explained I wouldn't be paying for these cupcakes as they were inedible and ruined by her dog. We agreed payment upon receiving the goods, and since I never received them, I wouldn't be paying. She said that I should still pay, as she had to buy ingredients for the cakes, and the cost of eggs has gone up, meaning she would be out of pocket. I said if she had control of her dog, then they wouldn't have been dropped, and I'm sorry, but again, I wouldn't be paying. I got in my car and left without the cupcakes. I still had guests attend on Saturday. I announced the gender in person rather than with some cupcakes, but it was still nice spending time with friends and family. My family were all happy, but my sister-in-law said I should have still paid for the cupcakes as she accepted it was her fault and offered to remake them for me. I personally don't think I should have had to pay for them, but now I'm feeling slightly guilty as I understand it's a small business and a loss of profit would affect her a lot harder than a larger business. Am I the jerk? Not the jerk. Why on earth would you need to pay for something you didn't receive? I know it would be nice to help out Claire a little bit if you guys were friends, but if this is just some lady, then no. Not the jerk. She's a business owner. She needs to act professional. Having a wild, uncontrollable dog jumping all over your customers and knocking your product out of their hands as they're trying to pick it up is not acting like a professional. This has nothing to do with the cost of eggs. She knows her dog doesn't behave and therefore should crate it or lock it in another room when she's meeting customers. No way should you pay a dime for those cupcakes you couldn't use. If she could have remade them for you that day and delivered them to your house, sure, but you had no use for them a week later. Her fault, so she eats the cost. You're not the jerk in this situation, but baby gender reveals are endlessly useless and stupid. Just have a baby shower. Why do you care so much about other people's decisions if they have no effect on you? If people want to have gender reveal parties, then there's nothing wrong with gender reveal parties, and you shouldn't be demanding other people adopt your lifestyle. Not the jerk, and I'm still trying to figure out why this gender reveal garbage is necessary. No one really cares except the mom, dad, and maybe the grandparents. Maybe. You're the jerk. Just because your baby is born looking a certain way does not mean you will know their gender. It's 2023, and you people still don't realize this. It honestly just makes me sad that you think you can decide whether they will be male or female. It's not up to you, and it never was. You remind me so much of my parents. Don't be surprised when they grow up and go no contact with you. My wife keeps pressuring me to copy stuff that she sees on TikTok. I'm 29, male. My wife, who's 28, and I have been together for about 10 years, married for 2. And while not the most affectionate person in public, I am quite affectionate at home when it's just us. Lots of hugs and kisses, you name it. Both our love languages is quality time and physical touch, courtesy of her research. In the past few months, she's joined the TikTok Reels and wants to copy things she sees people do and ask their significant other in Reels or in movies, like when guys lift your chin or when a girl asks something to her spouse or boyfriend. So we'll be eating dinner and I'll be on my phone or working on my laptop, and there will be something in a video she sends me or on a show or movie we're watching, and she'll comment on it as it relates to us or want me to do something to her. So this morning she was watching a reel in bed, and it was a man running his hand through his partner's hair. She asked me to do it, and I said no. I might have been a little frustrated because I was running late for work and asked her, "Why are you acting like this? We're not in a movie. Do I ask you to do this kind of silly stuff? I could tell it made her upset and she didn't press it again. And I didn't think anything of it until later when she wasn't texting me like she usually does during the day. I text her asking her what she wants for dinner and she says she doesn't care. Then she says that she still heard about this morning about how I was a jerk to her and invalidated how she felt. Am I the jerk for telling her that this isn't a movie and asking her why she was behaving like this? We hug and kiss all the time, so I feel like she's copying stuff just to get a reaction from me. Edit. Bought my wife a cupcake and her favorite tea and went home after work. She arrived half an hour after me and pouted at me when she saw my peace offerings. We hugged and I apologized for being a jerk this morning. She apologized for making me feel uncomfortable. I asked her if she wanted me to do things like that to her and she said sometimes, but she admitted that she sometimes missed the butterflies when we first dated. Surprise, I didn't connect the dots that one of our friends just got into a new relationship and has been over the moon about all their cute moments. So I asked her to tell me all of the TikTok things she's watched that she likes, and she shyly showed me all of the ones she bookmarked. So yeah, gonna make the lady happy and sprinkle her weeks with some, and we'll take into account how to keep our life spicy. I love her, and for all you folks trying to hit on her, she's taken. Get out of here. Thanks to all the folks who were kind enough to explain my mistakes and TikTok stuff to me, the good and the bad. She's asking you to show her love, dude. Who cares where she's getting the ideas? Why aren't you interested in listening to what your wife wants from you? You're the jerk. Your wife is telling you how you can delight her, and you're getting grumpy about it? You're the jerk. You're the jerk. She knows she isn't in a movie, she just wants affection. If it made you uncomfortable to do any of her suggestions, that would be a different story. But is it really too much to ask you to tilt her chin up and kiss her? Or do the wall thing? It would make her happy. Why not do it? It might be a little silly, but isn't that what relationships are for? Who else is she supposed to go to for recreating cute stuff she sees in movies? It just seems like so little effort on your part that would make her very happy. Not the jerk. Look, bud, as a man, you shouldn't be allowing that TikTok crap in your house in the first place. It gives everyone unrealistic expectations and turns them delusional, feeling as if their own life and relationships are inadequate. Social media messes people up and causes them to have totally unrealistic expectations. Imagine if you saw the women on TikTok doing God knows what and asked your wife to do it too. Do you think all of these losers would be cheering you on and saying she's in the wrong for not doing what the TikTokers do? I swear, most of the posts on this subreddit make me lose faith in humanity, seeing how lost people are these days. You're not the jerk, but get ready for a divorce. You'll never be able to compete with the stuff she sees on social media, and she'll end up leaving you over it like they always do. Why can't we afford to go to Paris? Why can't you buy me a new BMW? Why don't you look like Fabio? Problem is, they can't love us unconditionally the way that we love them. It's just part of being a guy these days, mostly due to the masses being brainwashed by social media. Back when I was in high school and college in the 70s, you'd have a hard time finding a guy who didn't have a girlfriend. These days, all 3 of my sons can't get a girlfriend to save their life. It's not that young guys are different now. Heck, my sons look much better than I ever did, and they make more money. The problem is that social media has created unrealistic expectations, hence the higher than ever before number of single mothers out there. The same ones who reject decent guys like my sons who actually want to settle down and start families. Instead, they choose the jerks who will knock them up, bail on them, and move on to the next one. Edit. Call me whatever names you want. It just shows you don't have a real argument and have to resort to name calling. I was married for 30 years until I lost my wife to cancer. She was the most amazing person I ever knew. 100% my fault. I messed around and found out. It's Good Friday, just a few days ago, and I'm the normal closing manager. It was busy. We close at 11, but everyone's getting ready for the holiday and it clears out early. Almost. There's one table left, clearly a first date. I've walked past several times and caught snippets of their conversation. Seem like nice folks. It's 11:15 and I get their server to fill up their water glasses and then he can head home. The closing bartender has already packed up and is heading out too. Just me left, the dishwasher, and the couple. Dishwasher finishes up around midnight, sweeps the line, takes out the trash, and heads home. Just me and them. Meh, I'll leave them be for a while. It's an hour after close, but they're still chatting. I'll go to the office and do the nightly paperwork. I left the doors unlocked, the lights are still set low, the music is still on, but they're completely by themselves. I finish up the paperwork, and it's now 1 in the morning. I walk out to lock up, and I'm really surprised that they're still there. I figured somebody would go to the bathroom and notice that absolutely nobody in this 55-table establishment was in the building with them. Oh well, I'm off Saturday. Let's see what happens. I've got Reddit I need to catch up on. At 1:55, I decide that's enough. I walk up to the table with my keys in my hand, and before I can say anything, the guy asks me if he can get another drink from the bar. I stammer for a second, completely off guard. Before I can collect myself, the guy says he forgot to order some to-go food and needs to put in an order. So I laughed. Didn't really know what else to do. Hey lady, I shouldn't have laughed at your date. I'm sorry, but I laughed at him. I said, I'm sorry, my man, but we closed 3 hours ago. There's nobody here but you and me, and I'm about to head home. And he came back with, you haven't been closed for 3 hours? And he scoffed. I honestly didn't think real-life people scoffed. But I said, well, you're kinda right. Looked at the lady and said, we've been closed for 2 hours and 57 minutes. And like I said, I'm about to lock the doors, so that means you gotta come with me. And then I stood at their table with my keys in my hand until they got up, and we all walked outside together. I will always remember a couple I had when I was bartending at this nice steakhouse. We were a little slow, so I let the server go home and took tables. Only people left in the bar. Drinks are almost empty, so I drop the check. Guy, what time do you guys close? Me, 10. Guy, but it's 10:45. Me, yes, I wanted to give you time to finish your drinks. But you can't leave until we do, right? That's right. Oh, good. We'll have another bottle of wine. Luckily, in my state, there's a limited amount of time I can serve you after we close to the public, so I use that excuse. But seriously, dude? Would I be the jerk if I asked my husband to stop coming home for lunch? I do in-home daycare, and my husband gets an hour lunch each day from work. He comes home for lunch and watches shows on his phone. The problem is, without fail, he wakes up our daughter or another daycare kid every day. Or prevents them from falling asleep to begin with, and I don't ever get a break. He used to just slam the door open and shut, would stomp around in his steel-toe boots. Daycare is in our unfinished basement/playroom. I've set boundaries about the door and the shoes. Our dogs bark upon his arrival, so we've worked to kennel them when he arrives or letting them out. Sometimes I'm tending to a kid though and can't get the dog situated before he shows up. He tends to forget to text he's on his way also. Currently, he shuts cupboards, drawers, and the microwave door loudly, cracks open a can of pop, etc., just to list a few ways he wakes up our kid. The main issue is he comes home right as nap time starts, and he wakes her up just as she's falling asleep, or 20 minutes after she's fallen asleep, and then she starts screaming and refuses to take a nap. This is an everyday occurrence, not to mention the daycare kids that he wakes up. I feel so burnt out, full of rage and contempt when he does this. Sometimes he works through lunch, and genuinely nobody wakes up or makes a peep. He goes out of town for work almost monthly, and nap times go seamlessly. I've been telling him for months I wish he would pack a lunch and just spend his lunch at work because it's taking a toll on my mental health to not get a break. Childcare is hard, and my day begins at 6:30 a.m. every single day. If someone doesn't nap, that means I don't get a break, and I work 11 hours straight. He thinks I'm blowing it out of proportion and being dramatic about how often it happens, but it's literally the truth. I've tried to set boundaries, but he watches his shows while he walks around making lunch and doesn't pay attention or realize how loud he is. He often drops things like his utility knife because he doesn't pay attention as well. Would I be the jerk if I straight up told him he can't have lunch here anymore? I've asked him before to pack a lunch at work, or he could eat next door at his parents' house with his mom who works from home. I just don't see the compromise because he wakes them up and I'm left to deal with it, and I don't get a chance to even eat or check my phone some days. Edit to clarify, his lunch doesn't start at a specific time each day. It's whenever he finishes his last job. Our rest time is from 12:30 to 2:30. Most kids don't fall asleep until about 1 though. Edit 2. Husband and I talked last night. I told him if he can come home by 12, there won't be any complaints as long as he prepares his lunch beforehand to eliminate excessive noise getting ingredients, etc. But he decided to start packing a frozen lunch and eating at work. Thank you for all of your help. We've been battling this for 8 months now, and we just add a layer of resentment that we don't need on top of being parents to an almost 2-year-old. Hoping this compromise works better, I appreciate all of you. Would you be the jerk if you told him he can't have lunch at home anymore? No, he sounds very inconsiderate, not the jerk. Not the jerk. Your home is a place of work where you operate a business. His presence there interrupts with your ability to provide your services. I'm sure he wouldn't like it if you showed up at his job during his work time and made a ruckus watching Netflix. I'm sure he wouldn't appreciate it either. You're the jerk. You tried hard to villainize him, but in reality, it sounds like he's just making normal at-home noise in his home. Maybe your place is on the small side for a daycare. You can ask him to try not to wake up the kids, but in my opinion, that's it. You're the jerk. If his presence and the sounds that result from him being in the house are enough to derail this so easily, it's really not his problem but your own. If you're in the business of childcare, then you need to either be on at all times or hire staff to give you a break like any other functioning business. Am I the jerk for going to my brother's bachelor party? I, 28 male, have a girlfriend who's 22, Nyla, and we've been dating for close to a year at this point. We had a great relationship leading up to this point, and now I'm just in shock of the position that we're in. Nyla and I recently found out she was pregnant. It was shocking to say the least because we weren't actively trying, because me and her were under the impression that she will never be able to naturally conceive. She told me that when she was younger, she went through some stuff, and as a result of that, the doctor told her that she would probably never be able to have a kid of her own without medical intervention. So this was somewhat of a miracle baby, and we were both fully prepared to have this baby until she unfortunately lost it. It was really horrible to say the least. She fell into a depression, and I was sad too. 2 weeks later, I had a trip planned for my brother's bachelor's party. This was planned way before we even found out she was pregnant. She told me how she didn't want me to go and that she still needs me, but I wasn't sure what she wanted me to do if I stayed. I told her I'll be back in 3 days, and she seemed fine with that answer because she gave me the go-ahead. The day I was leaving, she asked me, "Are you seriously actually going to go?" And I told her I had to since the ticket and hotel is non-refundable, so I did end up going. The whole trip, I barely heard from her, and I tried calling her, and she just ignored me. I came home from the trip to our apartment, and all of her stuff was gone, and she took my dog and dropped him off over at my parents' house. I went to my mom's house and picked up my dog, and she told me my girlfriend dropped the dog off because she couldn't watch it and she needed space from me. I told my mom what happened, and she told me I was an idiot and a jerk for what I did. I don't believe what I did was wrong by going on this trip she told me I could go on. I tried calling her to sort this out because I love her, and I've just been ignored so far. Am I the jerk? You don't have to be a mind reader to know she didn't want you to go. She told you, you ignored her and told her you were going. When you were leaving, she told you again. You ignored her and went anyway. It's not surprising she left you. You're the jerk. You left to go on a fun trip shortly after she had gone through a physically and emotionally horrible experience. Where, in that sentence, do you feel like you did the right thing? You're the jerk. You're the jerk, especially for not having a more detailed conversation about this. She asked you to stay, and you weren't sure what she wanted you to do if you stayed? How about talk to her about this before you just decide to go? Let's see. Controlling girlfriend gone? Check. Unplanned baby that you never even wanted to have with the controlling girlfriend gone? Check. Got your dog back and had a good time in Vegas celebrating something that was meaningful to you? Check. Sounds to me like you came out on top, bro. Find someone who doesn't bring all that baggage into your life, and never again trust someone who tells you that they can't get pregnant. They are always lying, as we all find out eventually. Can't even tell you how many girlfriends have tried to pull that "I can't get pregnant" crap with me, and next thing you know, guess who's pregnant? They're just trying to trap you, bro. Either that or trying to get child support. You want to call my manager? Okay, call him. This happened over a year ago at Walmart. For some context, on my days off, I have a blue work shirt I wear wherever I go out that has pins and patches all over it, as sort of a battle vest if you will. This fact means that more than once I've been mistaken as a Walmart employee, which I normally just brush off, but this dude took it to another level. So I go to Walmart to drop my car off for an oil change. I decide that I'll walk through the store since it was hot out, then across the parking lot to a fast food joint for lunch. As I'm walking down one of the aisles, I hear a grumpy, "Sir," from the other side of the pallet of products. I just sort of ignore it and keep walking. A quick look at me should tell you that I don't work here. But this guy walked around the pallets and gets right in front of me, all the while yelling, "Sir," at me. I stop because he's now right in front of me and pop out one of my earbuds, to which this guy starts to go off on me. Are you going to help a customer or just ignore me? You shouldn't have your hat or headphones on at work, he yells. I just roll my eyes and say, that was rude, but no, I will not help you. I then gestured at my lack of Walmart name badge and all the pins and patches on my shirt, trying to imply that I don't work here. Well, I want to speak to your manager. You shouldn't treat customers like this. I started to pull out and scroll through my contact till I found my manager. Mind you, my manager at the time was a grumpy old man from Tennessee who would take zero crap from anyone. Had this guy called my manager, he'd have had it handed to him. You want to speak to my manager? Okay, but he's going to tell you the same thing I'm about to tell you. Buzz off. Don't yell at anyone like that. Dude is now getting more angry as I show him my manager's number. Go ahead, call him. Tell him I didn't help you out. I don't work here and it's my day off. You shouldn't be treating people like this. The guy just mumbled something, then pushed past me and walked away, having never called my manager. The next time I was at work, I told my manager this story and he got a laugh out of it, saying that he would have loved it if that guy had called him. My stepdaughter feels entitled to my lottery winnings. I, 35 female, am engaged to my fiance, Brian, 37 male. We've been together for 2 years. He has a daughter, Ashley, who's 14, from a previous relationship. I'm currently pregnant with our daughter. I like to play the lottery sometimes, usually just scratch tickets. This time I won $50,000. Of course, I was very excited. I decided to take the money and put it away for my baby's future. I told Brian about the money and that it was being put away for our baby's future. He said we should take some of the money for Ashley since she's going to be graduating high school in a few years. Brian and his ex do have a college fund set up for Ashley, but not enough for all of it. I let him know this money would be used for our child since it was won by me and I'd be the one paying taxes on it since we're not married yet. I let him know once the baby was born, it would go into a trust that no one had access to. Brian and Ashley think I'm being ridiculous since the unborn baby would have more money than her set aside already and that it's unfair. I explained I understood how they felt, but I think I'm doing the right thing. Now my mother-in-law is also pressuring me because Ashley went to her house feeling upset, saying the baby is getting preferred treatment already. Am I the jerk? Edit. I see a lot of people asking how Ashley knows about the money. She walked into the house while we were talking about it and overheard our conversation. We didn't hear her come inside. Ashley then thought this meant we won the money, as in her father and I, since we're engaged. Not the jerk. Get a prenup. Run. Do not marry that man. Ask Brian if his ex will be contributing to your daughter's college fund. Everyone sucks here. You could throw your soon-to-be stepdaughter a few grand. I'm sure it would go a long way for your relationship with her. Your baby isn't here yet, and properly vested, that money is going to grow substantially by the time your unborn needs it. They suck for demanding your money. As someone with a step-parent, my answer entirely depends on if you want Ashley to be your kid when you get married. If you and Ashley are distant and haven't been making an effort to get closer, then it's entirely reasonable to spend all of this money on your next kid. Is there any way you hold off on making any permanent decision about the money, even just for a year or so? Also, I will not suggest you need to give away any money to Ashley now or that it has to be anywhere near 50%. In my personal opinion, everyone sucks here, because while they shouldn't be expecting this money, I also think 12 is an age where it's acceptable to meet a new adult and have them become like a third parent to you. And if you put all of the money towards your next kid, you will end any future close relationship with Ashley. There will be no future where she asks you to go wedding dress shopping with her, be at her graduation, be in the hospital when she gives birth, or where she'll make Instagram posts on Mother's Day about the 2 awesome mothers I have. Do you want to not only marry the man you love, but to marry into his family and make his kid your own? I had to scroll way too far down to see this answer. Ashley is still a kid, and OP is expecting to become an important person in her life. It's fine for her to prioritize her own kid with her own money, especially as her and Brian's finances are still separate, and Ashley still has 2 parents who can help her financially. But setting aside some of the money for Ashley is a signal that OP cares about her. If I were Brian, I'd be concerned if the person I was about to marry was so dismissive of my existing kid's needs. That said, the fact that he, his ex, and his mother are all pressuring OP rather than Brian having a sensitive conversation with OP about it is also a massive red flag. It would be smart and kind for OP to set aside some of the money for Ashley, not in the college fund her parents set up, but maybe in a long-term savings account that OP has access to. That way she doesn't lose control of the money and can take it back if OP and Brian break up. But it's still signaling that she cares about Ashley. Given the way this conversation has gone though, I don't think this relationship is going to last. Financial advice and parenting advice, the two things you should definitely not be asking these kids on Reddit about. Neighbors turn their house into a very loud public church service every Sunday, and their son is a creep. So we just had new neighbors move into the house next to ours, and they've been extremely annoying. Firstly, they convert their front garage and driveway into a church every Sunday. They line up chairs and invite people over and preach loudly on a podium. It literally lasts all day with catering in the works. When they're not doing this, they're loudly practicing their preach sermons in the garage throughout the week. Look, I have no issues with religious folk in general, but it's just so loud and annoying, to be honest. Like, can't they just go to a normal church instead of converting their house into one? Is this even legal to do so? Why subject your neighbors to this? Second, the family has a son, probably in his 20s, who harasses both me, female 25, and my older sister. He stares at us very creepily and stops us literally every time he sees us outside. He asks us really weird questions, trying to hit on us, I guess. He once chased my car as I was pulling out of the driveway to ask me what day it was. Recently, as I pulled up into the driveway, he stood behind my car on my property, staring at me and literally waiting for me to get out so he could speak to me. I was stuck in my car for literally 5 to 10 minutes to wait for him to leave, and he waited the whole time. I just got out, made eye contact with him while ignoring what he said, and stormed inside. Like, it's really getting in the way of my life. Now, I usually run from my car to my front door and the other way around so as to not be spoken to or stared at creepily. What really set me off recently was that I caught him staring at me through my window from a distance. Now I have to keep my curtains and blinds closed permanently, which is not the greatest thing for my mental health. This entire situation is making my anxiety spike so high, I really shouldn't feel unsafe in my own property. Other than all of this, there haven't been any other confrontations or issues with the family in general. It seems like they're really extroverted and have made attempts to get to know us, but I'm afraid if I accuse their son of this stuff, they'll deny it since they're children of God, or whatever religious folks say, or retaliate. I've daydreamed of blasting music from my car during their sermon, but I don't want to start drama. Any thoughts or advice? Set up cameras to catch anything just in case. They're fairly cheap, and you should document the creepiness in case it's needed for later. Call the city or the cops about the Sunday thing. I'm sure they are not zoned for church services, so it is a legitimate complaint. Support our channel by joining as a member today, and we'll give you a shout out in our next video. Or come watch this video next. You won't believe what Karen does in that one.